So talk me through, how did you start? How did you start in non-league? Where did it all begin?
Yeah, so it started many years ago. I was playing to Step 7, which is pretty much entry level. That was just for a local side, just playing as a fullback, and that was just to get the experience. And then once I got the experience, I did well. I kicked on, climbed a couple levels, went to Step 5, proved myself at Step 5, and then from then I carried on at Step 5. I jumped up to Step 4 for a few months, and then that didn't work out because of the commitment of the travel and the training. So I decided to drop back down again, and I was playing Step 5 and 6, and I've been for the last few seasons.
What do you think the difference in ability between Step 7 and Step 4 is? Is there a big golfing class, or do you think it's pretty similar?
Yeah, so from Step 7 to Step 4 is a big difference, because that's a free league jump. But from perhaps 4 to 5, there's not so much. It's just when you jump up 2 levels or 3 levels, that's when you start to see the big differences. It's just from Step 7, for example, to Step 5, the quality is far better at Step 5. But then Step 4 is a similar sort of level to Step 5.
You said you transitioned from a fullback into obviously transitioned into an attacker. What kind of made that transition? What happened there?
So I was always a forward in playing anywhere across the front line. But as a youngster, I was only perhaps 17. I was looking to get into men's football somehow, and everyone's favourite position is being up front, being the goal scorer. So there wasn't so many positions available there, so I looked elsewhere, and they needed a player to fill in a job at right back. So I thought that's better than sitting around on the bench. So that's what I did. I cracked on, played every game near enough.
Yes.
I've got a lot of experience playing against much bigger guys, so it's put me in good stead.
When you made the jump up to Step 4, you say it was the you said the availability, like the training and all, like the commitment. Do you think there's less commitment from like players the further down the pyramid you go?
Yeah, and that's why the quality is worse the lower that you go, because the commitment and the professionalism is worse. However, there is a lot of good players floating beneath their level for the reasons of perhaps working. Everyone's got a different story, and in non-league you're a part-time semi-professional footballer, so that's only half of your life, and the income that it does bring is minimal or next to none. So sometimes people's lives dictate the level that they can be playing at, because if you've got a tight training schedule of twice a week and travelling 2+ hours to games, it's a lot, especially on Tuesday night. So that's why I was playing at a lower level. It suited my life quite well.
So you've bounced between Step 4 and Step 7. Has there been a specific manager that's kind of helped nurture you up into Step 4 and Step 5, or?
Yeah, my most recent manager, Stuart Atkins, I played my best football under him. That was the last 2 seasons at Amersham, being at Step 6 and then at Step 5. Again, I could have been playing much higher, but it just suited what worked best for me at the time, and I liked the project that they had going on down there. So yeah, I played my best football under him, scored 76 goals in my first season, helped the club get promoted. In the second season, 51 goals, and he put that confidence into me, and now I'm looking at levels much higher. So I can only thank him and the other coaches like Richard Paquette for helping me. Like Pax was an ex-professional himself, and he was a goal scorer, so it was always good to get a helping hand and bits of advice from himself as well.
When Stuart resigned from Amersham, what was your feelings on that? How did you react?
I chat to Stuart on a regular basis, so that was no shock to me. I know all the gossip at all times. He's a very good friend outside of football as well. So I knew that was coming, and I knew that my resignation from the club was also imminent. So I was looking elsewhere and trying to plan the season ahead. But it was a brilliant 2 years, and in another world I would love to have done a third. But sometimes you've got to move on for the better, you know.
So obviously, then for people who might not know, how did you resign? Because there's obviously a lot of like stuff on Twitter that went out that you were under contract for X amount of years. How did you resign?
Yeah, so the contract just got terminated, and that was something that was agreed with everyone. And then following the termination of the contract, I was then a free agent and free to move on. So thankfully that was all dealt with, and now I can look for new clubs as a free agent.
You don't see many like non-league players staying on contract at clubs, especially at like step 5 steps
level.
Yeah. What does a non-league contract look like in comparison to a more professional contract?
There's no real difference. A contract is a contract. It's the same sort of contract that a National League player would sign. It's all the same blank forms. So I think the difference is a non-league player would just sign a non-contract form, which means you're free to move around. However, I signed a contract, and that's why it's so unheard of, because there's no real difference between a non-league contract and a professional contract. It's all pretty much the same. So, yeah, it was unheard of, but equally, that amount of goals at that sort of level was unheard of, and the club just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to go anywhere, and it was all dealt between me and the manager, Stuart. It was just in an attempt to kind of meet both parties' needs. He would be worried about his best player getting snapped up, and I just told him we could come to this agreement, and it would reassure everyone that he's going to have his star man for the contract period.
So obviously now you've obviously left Amersham. What's the trial process been like? How have you been coming across these trials, and what's it been like playing in these different games against varying opposition?
Yeah, the showcase games have been absolutely brilliant. I've had 3 different ones from 3 different people. So I played in one against Tottenham under-21s, which for me was one of my most memorable moments in football. Probably top 10 moments to play against the Cat 1 Academy at their training ground. The facilities were phenomenal. I played really well that day, and that inevitably led me to being on trial at Swindon. And I also played games against Wolves under-21s, and scoring a hat-trick there was brilliant. I got some good highlights, and that got sent round to all the different managers. And that's massively helped to show that, yeah, although he's a step 5 footballer, he's proof that he can do it. So these things have been brilliant and have created lots of different opportunities for me, alongside just general Twitter stuff, people just messaging me, seeing the stats online. So it's just a combination of the two, really.
So obviously, the 25-26 season is quite quickly approaching. Has there been many clubs that have approached you?
Yeah, I've had absolutely loads, to be honest. A lot are offering trials, supposed to come in and sign a deal. However, I've got a mixed bag, so we're varying from even teams at step 5 on to League 1. So there's a massive mixture of levels, but I've had a couple teams in League One telling me to come in on a trial. I literally had a call with a League One team this evening saying I can come in and play a game next week. So it's been good, but it's been a hard process because when you're that grateful to have that many opportunities in front of you and only being able to be at one place at one time, it's tough. You've got to narrow down your options and work out where's really best for you. So it has been a tough process to work out my schedule for the coming weeks. But I believe I've made the right decisions, and hopefully I can get some contracts offered.
What is your kind of aim? What steps are you kind of looking at for next season? Are you looking at like EFL, or are you looking more step 2, 3?
Yeah, so my aim for next season, originally, if you would ask me, like if you would ask me at the beginning of the season, I wrote my goals at the beginning of the season was to be the top goal scorer in the country, to get 50 goals, and to get moved to steps 2. And I got 2 of them things had been done, but now step 2 is looking at completely out of the picture, and I'm looking at League 2. So to be saying that is just testament to the hard work that I've put in. It's incredible, really. But I'd be open to a step 2 opportunity if that fails. But at the minute, with the way things are going and the opportunities that I've been given, I'd be very surprised if I wouldn't be able to take up and impress one of the managers at a League 2 side.
So what is like a defining factor in you signing for a club? What things do you look for in a project?
There's a mixture of things, the manager being a massive one. What are they like? Do you get on with them? Have they got a past of playing younger players? And that's the key for me. Is there a pathway? It's all good getting a contract offered, but I'd rather play every week at a lower level than sit around and get loaned out. So you've got to work out if the manager's suited for you, the club and the environment. So the players that you're sharing the changing rooms with, you want to get on with all of them. So there's a few different things, perhaps where you're living. If you've got to relocate, that's a big factor, especially if you've got to move away from friends or family. So there's a lot to weigh up, and there's many more things that I wouldn't have listed. So it's just a case of pros and cons and how many boxes a team can tick.
So obviously you've had offers from League 1 and 2. Do you see yourself in the Championship, Premier League at some point in the next 5 years or so, or where do you think your ceilings are?
I don't like to think that far ahead, because at the minute I'm just a non-league footballer on trial at these clubs, trying to impress to get a contract. So I don't like to think too far ahead, but in an ideal world and in the perfect picture, if I can get signed to a League 2 team and have a good season, a really good season, then you'd be looking at a League 1 or a Championship opportunity. And then from there, you don't know what you can achieve. But firstly, all my thoughts are on getting that contract signed. And then once you've got the contract, you need to get into the team, and then you want to get to 10 starting appearances. And so there's a lot of hurdles in the way, but the sky's the limit, 100%.
On the other side of like your current situation, you've had a lot of like media stuff as well. Obviously I saw you were on TalkSport. What's all that been like?
It's been excellent. Honestly, the TalkSport thing has probably been the cherry on the top. Some of the experiences that I've got to live being a non-league footballer are just incredible. I've done various YouTube videos, and I'll go out places and people notice me from my Twitter and from my goals. So in a way, I'm living a bit of a life of a footballer, in the sense of the amount of media stuff that I've done and attention that I get. So it's really cool, and if I was to make that next step, it's good because I already have good experience on media and stuff like that. So yeah, it's amazing, really.
Obviously, you've had a very busy schedule the last month or so. How have you been able to keep a work-life balance? Obviously, as you still got a job to do.
The answer is I haven't been able to keep a work-life balance. I've just stopped work for the last few months in an attempt to go all out and try and get this contract, because otherwise, being honest, I just wouldn't be able to balance it. It would be too much for me to balance. So I have taken a bit of a hit and not been working the last few months, and it has hurt me financially, but the potential rewards are much greater, so I decided it'd be best just to give it one big push and see where that takes me.
So, like, obviously, you starting quite humble beginnings in like step 7 to now League 1 in such a short space of time. Do you have any advice to anyone else who wants to kind of achieve that same thing?
100%. Just to work hard and believe. That's something that sadly I didn't really believe in, and I didn't work hard enough. And if I worked harder and had more belief, I could have already been there. But it just goes to show anyone's watching, you don't know who's watching. So it's just making sure every time you go out to that pitch, you give it your all. As I say, you don't know who's watching. One good game and you can get propelled into something massive. So they're my 2 bits of advice.
Well, thanks very much for your time tonight, Jake.
No problem, mate. No problem.
Thank you.